Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. Today's guest is pretty close to home. We have Matt Waldinger, Director of Planning and Development from Millcreek Township. Great to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate it.
So I guess let's dig into it. So our viewers who aren't familiar, you're the Director of Planning and Development for the township.
Yep.
What does Planning and Development do?
So Planning and Development, we kind of have two main missions. We do what's known as current planning. That involves things such as we've got people with zoning questions. They need building permits. They want to do a subdivision or a land development, code enforcement. That's all kind of current day-to-day planning. And then we also work on what's known as long-range planning, looking, at the township, holding meetings with the public, finding out their wants and needs, and then developing plans that help the township and the residents get there.
So what's the latest in planning and development?
Well, there have been, I'd say, a fairly significant change, at least structurally, to the department, not so much operationally, but starting on July 1st, when our new township engineer started, Robert Rodemoyer, they did separate engineering out from the planning and development department. I do think it'll help with some efficiencies, allow them to concentrate more specifically on the engineering side of it, and allowing me to focus a little more on planning and development, but we're still sharing the same offices. We're all working together. So, like I said, operationally, it's very similar. It's just kind of a new structure, and that's kind of out of the planning and development department now.
Gotcha. So, what's the current long-term plan that Millcreek Township is working off of?
The current plan right now is Embrace Millcreek. That was our comprehensive plan. We started that planning process back in 2016, believe it or not. It wasn't adopted until 2018, but it was a couple years worth of background planning, doing some research, holding a lot of public meetings, developing drafts of the plan and presenting those to the public. So we're working off of Embrace Millcreek, the current comprehensive plan from 2018.
Gotcha. So what's the latest with that? How's the plan going?
It's going pretty well. The plan definitely has, it's got an implementation section in the back, like action steps that we should be taking. Mm-hmm. And so we've been trying to knock those off and move those along. Some of the things we've completed are a new zoning code. Last year we adopted a brand new zoning code based on the kind of what the comprehensive plan indicated that residents wanted to see, how things have changed. It had been quite a few years since we had a new zoning code, so we took time to modernize it. There was a lot of old uses that have fallen by the wayside, a lot of new uses, things like Airbnb that didn't exist, and so we tried to incorporate all of that stuff. We have also been working on an official map, and we adopted that last year. That just kind of helps set priorities for the township if properties do become available. It helps us preserve green space, potential future public parks or public lands that we may need for township operations in the future. It gives us an opportunity to have conversations with property owners if and when those become available. Another big thing that was recommended in the action plan in Embrace Millcreek that we've implemented is a Presque Isle Gateway District Plan. We call it the Gateway Plan. It was recommended that we do a special sub-area plan for the Gateway District because it was so important. It ended up being like the top thing that was recommended by just about everybody that we talked to when we did the comprehensive plan. And so we felt that area deserved special attention. And so in 2021, we started the process of doing a specific gateway plan. It was adopted in 2002. And it allowed us to concentrate just on the area from 12th Street to the Bayfront, basically from Oregon. If people don't know, that's like right about where the end of Waldemer Park is, right to Pittsburgh Avenue, which is the City of Erie line. And we looked at that area extensively. We came up with some concepts. We presented those to the public. We had public websites where people could look at a map of the area and place pins and say, I'd really like to see this here, or here's something I don't like about the area. Here's something that needs improved, or here's some suggestions. We combined all those into concepts, sent those back out to the public online, and then had them respond, refined that, and created the plan.
Okay. So this started, just to clarify, way back with a 2016 Embrace Millcreek comprehensive plan.
Yep. I mean, that was, 2016 we started what we call the pre-planning, like a lot of the in-house stuff. We first went to the public, I believe, in 2017 with some neighborhood meetings. Very first, I won't forget this, very first neighborhood meeting was in Bell Valley. And, we expected the residents to tell us, what they wanted, are they looking for new things on Route 8? What development do they want to see? And I always remember this because what we heard from the residents that came to the meetings were, we like Bell Valley the way it is. We like it being quiet. We don't want to have another Peach Street. But Presque Isle is something that we really think is important. When we think of Millcreek Township, we think of Presque Isle State Park, and we think that's an important area for you to concentrate on. And every other public meeting we had from there, we had one at Westlake, we had one at J.S. Wilson, we had one at Grandview. We heard the same thing over and over, that people equated Millcreek Township with Presque Isle State Park, and the fact that we are the host municipality, and that it was important to concentrate on that area.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Embrace Millcreek plan and the Gateway District plan, are those two separate entities, or?
Absolutely. So Embrace Millcreek is the comprehensive plan for the township as a whole, and
everywhere from Bell Valley to the farthest west side.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it has guided us and led us along. Like I said, with the zoning code rewrite, we're working on a subdivision and land development code rewrite for the entire township. Official map was the entire township, but it did have a specific section on the gateway to Presque Isle and recommending that we take action to strengthen that area and improve it.
Okay.
And then that is where, I guess, to finish, that's where the gateway plan came from. And it is a separate standalone plan just for that small area that I mentioned earlier. After the plan was developed in 2022, just as it was being finalized, we realized an opportunity where these properties were coming up on the market potentially. The Bel Air, through some very unfortunate circumstances, was in foreclosure. That was a large piece that was potentially available. And we started to see the opportunity for the township to make an investment, consolidate some parcels, and create an area that was set for new development in order to really set that area off from the rest of the corridor.
So this is an investment in the future of Millcreek.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's not immediate returns right now. This is something our kids can enjoy, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, and it will take a while. I mean, but I'm very much looking forward to enjoying it, in a few years. Definitely something for the future, though, for the kids. There will be continuing returns that will go on for many, many years. The increased tax revenue. We have created a mixed-use district down there, which means that you can have residential and commercial mixed. So picture like a restaurant or a retail shop on a first floor with a floor or two of apartments above it. And so that also increases the tax base because you have earned income tax for the residents that live there. We provide additional housing. I know that now there's kind of a housing crunch, and homes and apartments are hard to come by at the moment. So we see a lot of benefits to the township that are ongoing, and it's not just a Band-Aid or an immediate return.
Gotcha. So I guess, why were those properties that were selected?
Yep. They were selected based on the Gateway Plan and the idea that that corner, the corner of 8th and Peninsula, is very important. If you look at 8th Street, especially heading east from Peninsula Drive, all the way actually to the Bayfront Parkway, which goes into the city, that whole area has a huge concentration of locally owned small businesses. There's not many chain stores along there. Even the Colony Plaza is a local owner who has local businesses inside of it. West Erie Plaza, also local ownership. There's a couple national chains in there, like Planet Fitness and things, but for the most part, local businesses. And we felt that with the draw of Presque Isle State Park, you have 4 million or more visitors a year. The pandemic,
more than Yellowstone, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And in the pandemic year, it approached and exceeded 5 million visitors. But you have all of those visitors at the state park, and in order for the people from out of town that don't know what's there to realize and to draw them to come down and visit the already established businesses, Colony Plaza, the individual businesses, Westbury Plaza, and on into the city, you needed a draw. And unfortunately, those the buildings that are there now as they exist have been run down, aren't necessarily the most appealing, and rather than drawing people to come down 8th Street, sometimes we felt it was giving the impression maybe we should go look somewhere else. We felt like making an impact on that corner, preparing it for new development, helping to guide that new development, or at least have some say in that development as it happens, will get an attractive development at that corner that will help bring people in and help them to stay in the area rather than just traveling on and getting back on I-90 and going home.
Yeah. So what does preparing it for new development look like?
So it started with the purchases, which you already mentioned. Right now we have bids open for bidders to submit bids for demolition for 4 of the structures. That would be Joe Roots on the north side, Sandbar, and the Manor Motel on the south side. And then in the back of the Bel Air Hotel, there's like a big motel strip near St. Jude's. And so those 4 structures, we are taking bids to demolish those. By the end of the month, we hope to award that to the lowest bidder, and then they would have until May, the middle of May next year, to do that demolition. So over the course of the next couple of years, then we'll look at the other buildings that are there. We have the Grasshopper building, which was, it's a historic building. At least the front portion is very old building, and so we've committed to not do anything to that site until we have an architect, or actually I'd like to get the opinion of a few architects to come in, evaluate the structure, see what we have there, see what the historical value is. A lot of it's covered up, it's been remodeled many times on the interior, so find out what the bones say. And until we've had a full evaluation of that property and know what is really there, we won't make any decisions or do anything to touch or alter that property. And then the actual Bel Air structure itself, there are some portions of it that are clearly outdated or unusable. There are some other sections in the back where the rooms are that have potential for reuse. So we're going to examine that more closely before we do any demolition there to see if it can be reused or not.
So what would be the next steps after demolition?
So after demolition, right now there's multiple property lines. We would combine everything into 2 actually large properties, one on the north side, one on the south. We would like to bring developers in from across the country. We're working with a consultant now who has connections across the nation. We'd like to market the sites to developers. We want them to come to Erie, see what this area looks like, see what opportunities exist at the entrance to Presque Isle. Have them give us their qualifications. We want to make sure that we've got a developer that has done a development like this before, that has the financial wherewithal to do a development and see it through to the end. And then once we get a group of pre-qualified, interested developers, we'll ask them to give us proposals for how they would like to see that developed. And then that will give the township the opportunity to look through those proposals from people that we know can accomplish the development and find the best fit, obviously with input from the public, for what that area should look like moving forward. So I guess to wrap it up, our role is to kind of clear and prepare the site and market it so that it can be sold or leased to developers to move forward to do their development with township input.
Gotcha. Now, I've heard a lot about the grant funding that has gone into this project and the tremendous support it's received from outside sources. Can you talk a bit about that?
I'd be happy to. Yeah, we have been very lucky to get quite a bit in grant funding to date, and we will continue to look for more as we move forward. Right now, we have been awarded a $3.5 million in RACP funds. That's the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Projects Fund. That comes from the state, from the Commonwealth of PA. And so we're working with that to do some of the development side of it, do some of the streetscape, like the beautification with sidewalks, street trees, lighting along the corridor. We also have been awarded $1 million grant from the Land Bank to fund the demolition of those structures, and so we'll be utilizing that to get the demolitions done as we prepare those sites. We also have arranged with PennDOT to turn back that portion of West A Street. Right now, PennDOT owns and maintains and operates that. They will turn that back over to township control, which will give us a little more freedom to do what we would like to do in the corridor, but also that agreement comes with them giving us the funds to do kind of like one last PennDOT improvement on it before it becomes the township's. So we have up to $5.4 million to spend on that roadway to design. It would include new curbing, new pavement, curb ramps would be included in there. Anything to do with the road drainage improvements, they'll do new storm sewer along the whole length. So, I mean, right there alone, that's, $9.5 million worth of grants to date, or funds brought to the project to date, and we will continue to look for more.
So you're not only looking to make this more attractive for developers, it's going to be more attractive for the community and especially beneficial for the community of Millcreek, like in the long term, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
These will be long-term improvements to that, the what we call the public realm, the right-of-way,
Yeah.
the property, that the sidewalks, the street, all of that, as well as helping to prepare these sites for future development.
So, I mean, pretty much this entire conversation so far has been focused on just that stretch of 8th Street. But has there been anything else going on around there in that Gateway District?
Yes, absolutely. Although 8th Street has a lot of work that needs to be done, there are other things to be done within the district, and we're working towards those. We did, speaking of grant funding, we also received a $2.5 million grant from the Department of Community and Economic Development, their multimodal transportation fund, to extend the trail on the peninsula, up Peninsula Drive. Eventually, we would like to see it extended all the way up to 8th Street, but we're working on final engineering for the first phase, and we have $2.5 million in state funding to do that. Another grant opportunity that we're seeking is the local services account grant opportunity. That is statewide gaming funds. They have grants of up to $1 million to do projects, and so we'll be submitting a grant application to place sidewalks on West 6th Street, all the way from the City of Erie line to Peninsula Drive. That will give all of those residents there safe access to the elementary schools, such as St. Jude and Tracy Elementary School. There's multiple parks. There's Scott Park, obviously, and then even they would have the ability to walk to Frontier Park if they wanted. And then ultimately connecting to Peninsula Drive and the trail. And so we feel like that's an important safety upgrade, in the district itself. And so we are looking for multiple projects, although, like you said, 8th Street kind of is taking up all of the media attention. We are seeking to do improvements throughout the district.
So the amount of grant funding that this project is receiving, does it imply an interest in the project from those entities?
Oh, absolutely. We thank each and every one of them. I know we've had great support from the Commonwealth. And I think it all goes back to actually having the plans in place. The work that has been done with Embrace Millcreek, leading to the Gateway Plan. Time and time again, when we apply for grants, what we hear, one of the very first questions is this project related to an adopted plan? Because they don't want people coming up with something that they just thought up spur of the moment and think it's a good idea. They want to see the research that backs that it's something the community wanted. And so having these plans is really something that's important. And so that's what the funders want to see. And we've got great support, like I said, from the Commonwealth, from the Land Bank. A lot of the local legislators have been really big advocates of the projects that we've been looking for, and we certainly appreciate that. The group Infinite Erie, which is a coalition of throughout the county put together to kind of advance projects throughout the county, has selected the Gateway and the West A Street project as one that they are advocating for because it has been thought out, vetted, and is actually in motion. And so we appreciate all of their support. So yeah, plans actually lay the groundwork for the funding that is, has come and hopefully will be coming.
Gotcha. So I guess with the Embrace Millcreek plan, how would you know it's been finished?
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned we do have that implementation matrix. We're working towards picking things off, but I think I mentioned at the beginning that we started Embrace Millcreek in 2016 as far as the background planning. to adopt in 2018, and it's really kind of scary for me to say this, but typically you want to do a comprehensive planning process every 10 years to keep it updated. And so that means with just another couple years in 2026, we'll be looking at starting our next comprehensive plan, hopefully for adoption in 2028, because these aren't static documents. You know, situations change, the community ideas change, and so you constantly want to be going back and taking the temperature of the community and making sure that we're moving in the direction they want.
Gotcha. Well, Matt, thank you for being here today.
Yep. Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share what we do.
And thank you, the viewers, for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel today. If you would like, please follow Millcreek Township on Facebook, Instagram, on our website, wherever you want to get your news and see what we have new going on.